Welcome to it. It is the Average Joe Sports Show, Tailgate Show. You made it. Welcome to college football 2025. It is Nebraska. It is Cincinnati. We are here just outside the Joe Mama Mobile. The Snitley boys and the crew are on the other side here. There is a buffet line going. There's a bar stocked. There's a grill to be fired up, and there's bags being played. It is all Husker red here down just south of Lot J. And you're invited out. If you're headed down to Kansas City, we want you to stop by, say what's up to the Average Joe Sports Show. And of course, Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens, follows here. As Nebraska, Cincinnati, Elijah, get ready to touch gloves. We have a full plate of Huskerness for you today. We'll talk about the matchup for sure. Special guest en route via Uber. We aren't quite flying him in, but Uber-wise, Mark Spindler is on his way. That's right, Rocco's proud papa, going to be on site with us. We'll check in with Brandon Vogel from Cow to Reed. And, we'll find time for Dan Hoard, voice of Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Bengals. He'll join us. Mark Cranac will be along with Bill Dolman. I have no earthly idea, Elijah, where they are on I-29. Good luck and God bless with the traffic. And, Gary Barnett going to join the show a little bit later on. Maybe a Tony George sighting from Doc Sports. Danny Burke. Klasberg will make an appearance as well for his Nebraska and Cincinnati pick. 489-1240. I kid, we can't take a phone call, but you can jump in the stream. Like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show. How you feeling?
Well,
what's the temperature right now? 3+4 hours from kickoff right now. Everyone's in a great mood.
Well, right now, if people can hear us on the stream and on the radio, it is nothing short of a mini miracle. So first off, assuming everything is going well, Greg, we're praying you're back in studio monitoring, making sure we're going out over the air. But assuming that is happening, it is a miracle. As Tiger Shark Diver says, I put on a polo, which means it's game day. It is a very good day. The excitement is here. The beers are flowing on all the tailgates we're seeing, and it's football weather, Schmitty. You can't complain about the 78-degree weather we have here in Kansas City. It is just miracles all around. We hope it doesn't take a miracle tonight for Nebraska to get their first win of the season.
You know, let's dive in a little bit to Nebraska. We'll get our starting five shout-outs. Tell us where you are at if you're en route on the trek down. There's a ton of RV folks. We've got Mark next to us as he is from the Dallas region, and he has the black shirt mobile. It's not a short bus, it's a normal bus. It's painted black with a awning and iron and all sorts of love flags are flying above it to us. Big thanks to my mom and Al for helping navigate down here. But the here and now, Elijah, is Nebraska football. We talked about the narrative of Nebraska football and where this program is at, where they want to be, what the national pundits are saying. And some are picking Nebraska. Some are on the Nebraska bandwagon, but there's a whole lot of proof in game one that can be put into action tonight for Nebraska with a good showing. And I'm not quite ready to say what's going to happen, but I know Nebraska fans are wanting for sure this offense to come out clean and composed under Dana Holgorsen and Dylan Raiola. They want to see Emmett Johnson slashing and dicing in the open field. They want to see this receiver core make things happen. The one thing that has been hammered and circled by Matt Rule has been chemistry, and this team feels like they are meant for big things. 15 transfers doesn't always equal chemistry. Sometimes it's the chemistry that Heisenberg would employ. Boom, right? There's not a lot of good chemistry when guys are making different amounts of money. But you have 15 transfers, 11 of those are on the two deep. So that's evidence right now that with this hard-fought camp, 21 days of tough football, that Nebraska had other options, had better options, brought in talent, and that talent needs to be on display tonight against a Cincinnati team that the word commonly used for the Bearcats is scary. They are a scary opener for Nebraska. That said, Nebraska should have the talent advantage across the board, say a couple of spots. And we'll see what Nebraska wants to do today, offense, defense, and yes, special teams, as the world gets to meet Archie Madness.
How I define this Cincinnati test tonight, though, is it's the right test for Nebraska. They have things I think that will stress Nebraska. They want to be a team that runs the football, testing Nebraska's younger, slightly inexperienced defensive line. They also are a team that I think is a little inexperienced along their offensive line, giving your defensive line a chance to catch up. And they're, I think, a little inexperienced in their secondary, which is something you'd like to see Dylan Raiola take advantage of tonight. So they consider themselves a hard-nosed football team. They have some talent. They have some guys that will probably be playing in the NFL for a good while. But on the flip side of that, I think Nebraska has more talent than them. It comes down to, can Nebraska play clean football? Can they be buttoned up? Can they avoid those back-breaking type of mistakes, turnovers, special teams errors, coverage busts that allow a team like Cincinnati to come in and sting you week one? And that's what I think it would be for Cincinnati. They're trying to come in and sting Nebraska. Nebraska's a Big Ten team. Nebraska's got the talent advantage. They got to go play to their level. They got to avoid the back-breaking errors that have killed Nebraska over the last 5 to 10 years. If they can do that, I think Nebraska's strengths, which I look at wide receiver core, offensive line, quarterback, can really exploit what Cincinnati's weaknesses are.
Can Nebraska make that climb? Can they climb the ladder nationally? Can they climb the ladder in the Big Ten? A lot of hope, a new look Nebraska for sure, and quite honestly, a little bit of an element of surprise with Nebraska because of what they have in John Butler. Let's spend a little bit of time here in this first segment on Nebraska's defense. You know, Keota Davis got that last black shirt. What does he do? What is Riley Van Poppel about today? Is it going to be relentlessness all day? That's what he said to Husker great Jason Peter. Wants to be relentless all the time. The Nebraska's linebacking core. What does that story talk about tonight, not only with Watson Trent, but also Vincent Shavers, the Vincent Shavers you saw in the bowl game that you loved, and Nebraska's secondary. They will be tested tonight a little bit as experienced and the perceived strength of this defense. Cincinnati's got a bunch of deers out there that go 6'5" and can run like the wind. So the receiver room on both teams is pretty good tonight.
And one of the questions I have specifically regarding Cincinnati is, what is the strength of their offense? That's one of the things I'm curious about with Cincinnati in the first quarter. Is you hear so much about Sorsby and you hear so much about the improved talent they brought into their wide receiver room. Is that what the strength of their offense is? But I mean, on the other side of things, Scott Satterfield's a coach that loves having a physical offensive line. He likes the duo of running backs that he has. Is that the strength of their team? Do they want to be a team in the first quarter that, a la Minnesota, a la Wisconsin of old, a la Iowa, wants to run it down your throat and throw it because they can, not because they have to? Or are they a team that the strength of their offense is this improved wide receiver core and a quarterback that can tuck and run? He can throw it deep. He can hit his guys over the middle of the field. Like, what is the strength? How are they going to try to attack the Nebraska defense? That's one of the big questions I have. I think we'll have it answered probably by the end of the first quarter, but the goal for Nebraska's defense is to make that Cincinnati offense one-dimensional. Can you be a defense that early in the first quarter, in the second quarter, Cincinnati goes, man, we're not going to be running the football against these guys. We're going to have to drop back and throw it 40-plus times if we're going to beat Nebraska. If that is what it is for Cincinnati, I think it means very good things for Nebraska because, as I said yesterday, the team that wins this football game is likely the team that can be more balanced offensively. For me, Nebraska, can you throw it for 250, run it for 150? That's the question to me. If you can do that, you have a balanced offense. If you can be the more balanced offense, I think you put yourself in a fantastic place to win this football game, again, barring catastrophic turnovers and catastrophic errors on special teams.
So this is a statement opportunity for Nebraska. And one thing that the statement needs to be, Elijah, it needs to be a win tonight. Doesn't matter how it happens. You want to look a certain way, sure, but you need to get out of your 500-mile radius with a victory tonight. Too many times, too many Nebraska teams started the season on the wrong foot, and the fan base doesn't blink. They stick with this football program, have for decades of wins and a tough last 10 years, we'll say. And right now, Nebraska has 70,000 of their blood driving down, fighting traffic, already here in some instances, investment, not only emotional investment for a lot of years with this team, but financial investment, hotels, alcohol tabs, gas for the RV.
Well, just look left and right. The money that's invested in these tailgates on
Give-
alcohol, on RVs, on gas, as you said, yeah.
Give the folks a reason to be loud. Show up ready to go. And I think Nebraska will show up confident and be ready to go. I also am anxious to see how adversity is handled, because it's supposed to be a new leaf. It's supposed to be Nebraska and a mentally tough football team that did tough things in the offseason. Husker football has to run the football tonight. I know that Dylan's a talent, a prodigy, very skilled. And I know Nebraska has a whole new group of wide receivers. We've talked a lot. But Nebraska needs to run the football and keep Dante Corleone, the Godfather, off of any buffet line. And that buffet line is getting after the quarterback in the backfield, clogging the middle up is his specialty. Mobile quarterback, we've heard a lot about Dylan's increased mobility. Sorsby's a guy that is somebody that Nebraska's going to have to be money on third down. Does he extend a drive? Does he extend a series? Does he make a play? Does Nebraska do a good job of getting after him and then getting him when they are in the position to have him dead to rights? How many sacks last year were missed or a half count away from happening in big moments? Too many, if you ask Nebraska's defense.
Well, as we kind of wind things down, we'll get to the starting five in just a second. Let me ask you, and we'll probably come back to this. We've laid out a lot of questions, things we're confident in, things we have questions about here in this first segment. What is your biggest question mark for this Nebraska team heading into tonight?
Biggest question mark is the defense. Is the defense going to be able to be balanced? Are they going to be able to lock down Cincinnati's wide receivers? How many big plays do they give up? How often do they get off the field on third down? Those are some obvious questions, but I'm curious to see, is this a situation where Cincinnati is able to hold on to the football and keep a drive alive, or is it where Nebraska maybe gives up a initial first down and then they eventually get off the field? How long is Cincinnati able to stay in the driver's seat with possession of this football game? So can Nebraska's defense be good enough tonight? I think the offense will do enough to win the football game tonight for Nebraska scoring points. But can the defense do, in a role reversal from the past two seasons, can the defense do enough to make sure Nebraska's offense and defense play some complementary football?
And for me, I think I have some level of confidence because the guys in that back end are all very experienced. I have some level of confidence in what they bring to the football field. The question to me is, can that front seven, like we saw in the bowl game against Boston College, can they go out there and wreak havoc? That's what I'm looking for from that front seven. I don't think they're going to be the run stuffers that you necessarily saw with Ty and Nash in the middle, but can they be a linebacker core that flows fast and makes plays in the backfield? Can you have edge rushers that come off the edge on third down and make sure Brendan Sorsby never feels comfortable back there? These are the types of questions I have. Can they be that? I think so. We'll find out, though, probably pretty early tonight.
All right, it is the Average Joe Sports Show, Road Show here in Kansas City, the RV Show. We are outside the Joe Mama Mobile. We are next to the North Texans for Nebraska as they are absolutely blaring Metallica, start headbanging, and we'll check in. Brandon Vogel on the way from Counter Reed. It's tailgate time here at Arrowhead. Back with you. It's the Average Joe Sports Show tailgate edition here in Arrowhead. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. With Count Reed, it's Brandon Vogel, counterread.com, and at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. Vogues, you made it, dude. It's game day. All sorts of red in Kansas City. All sorts of red going to be in Nashville, which is where you're headed for some Husker volleyball. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Would have loved to make the daily double on that. I guess it wouldn't be daily of Kansas City and then back to Nashville, but couldn't quite swing it. So glad you guys are there. I'm pretty excited to watch this Nebraska football team debut tonight and then get some volleyball on Sunday.
More excited or more nervous, Brandon, whenever you're looking ahead to this game?
I think as the season opener, still excited, and depending on how that goes, might influence my feeling for the games to come. But yeah, I think Nebraska, when you look at particularly, I think the coaching changes. There's a lot of questions about the roster, and how it all comes together, and some guys that need to be good who don't have a lot of snaps under their belt. But for the most part, yeah, I think at this stage of the off season, for a couple of hours more at least, it makes sense to be excited.
Well, let's start with the positive then, Brandon. Tell me, what is, as you look across the team as a whole, what's the number one thing you have circled on your list that you're excited to see tonight?
It might be the offensive line. I think that's a group you can point to. Like it's been shuffled since last season, but has the potential to be pretty good, I think. And it's going to get a challenge from the Cincinnati defensive front, which is, on paper, probably one of their strongest groups in terms of what it returns. So that should be a good on good matchup, quote unquote. And let's see how the Huskers handle things up front. That determines a lot in any football game, but I think particularly in a week one where things have the potential to get a little bit sloppy, that's certainly the case. Excited to see the receivers as well. And then Nebraska's defensive front would be the third kind of variable for me, just based on how many new players there are up there.
Vogues, when you look at Nebraska's front, let's go there for a little bit. And their charge this year, as Matt Rule said, is to not be the same defense that is unveiled tonight. They're a different style defensively when it comes to maybe a little bit smaller than Nash and Ty Robinson. That being said, the quickness and athletic, there's different ways to be a dominant defensive line. And you think that can have some success tonight? Can Nebraska create havoc and be aggressive with that front 3/4, getting after a really talented quarterback in Sorsby?
Yeah, I think it can. This is a little bit the case for every season opener, I think, but I think it's uniquely the case for Nebraska. Like, if you want college tape on John Butler and how he does things, you got to go back to 2013. Holgerson, there's a little bit from last year, but we don't know exactly how much the offense has changed. There's the element of surprise that theoretically is in Nebraska's favor in this game tonight because of all the changes they made. And I think you'll probably see that more on defense than you will on offense. And we'll see what that means. I mean, if there's a concern for me with Nebraska defensively in 2024 or 2025, it's that in 2024, they could really get home with basically a 4-man rush. And I can't say that with confidence that they'll be able to do that to the same degree. Sometimes that's just reality. It happens to college football teams all across the country. But what are you going to do about that? How exotic do you have to get? How aggressive do you have to get in terms of blitzes and sending an extra man? I think that'll be kind of a key takeaway from this game, no matter what the result of it is.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here. And Brandon, to flip things around to the offensive side of the ball, I said yesterday on our show, I want to get your take on it. I said 250 yards through the air, 150 yards on the ground. If Nebraska's offense can accomplish that, I think there's a good chance they come away from this football game with a victory, barring any catastrophic plays with turnovers and special teams, which I don't know, that's not a given. But What, 250 in the air, 150 on the ground? How does that strike you?
I think that would do it for a game against a power conference opponent, like getting to 400 total yards in a week one scenario. Perfectly respectable. Like I would probably, if I were setting those numbers, I might have gone 275 through the air and 125, but you end up right around 400. So I think overall, if Nebraska gets there, they've got a pretty good shot to win this as about a 6 to 7 point favorite. Haven't looked at the line in the last couple of hours to see where it might be at, but that's kind of where it's hung all off season for the most part. So yeah, I think that would get the job done. And it would be against a defense that certainly has the potential to be pretty good, I think, in 2025.
Brandon Vogel with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show, the RV edition, is getting ready for Nebraska, Cincinnati. Vogues, what's a total offensive number that you think John Butler can live with from Sorsby tonight?
Well, it's interesting because we spent a lot of time during camp, maybe over the last 2 weeks, as we kind of transition to let's get ready for Cincinnati and talk about that a little bit. Talking about his rushing ability, but as I wrote in my game preview for this game this week at Counter Read, it's sort of strange in that the higher Sorsby's rushing total gets, and he went up for over 100 yards towards the end of last season. I'm forgetting the opponent off the top
Iowa
of my
State.
head. Iowa State, that's right. And the higher it goes, the worse it seems to be for Cincinnati. And this was a little bit true at Indiana as well. He has not won a game over the past 2 seasons, so 2023 at Indiana and 2024 at Cincinnati, when he's rushed for more than 40 yards. And maybe that's just kind of like an odd, coincidence. But I do think there's something to it of if they have to use him that much in the run game, it probably means some other things aren't working. And so I look at this game as, yeah, you don't want to let a guy run wild, of course. But the more Cincinnati needs Sorsby to move the football, I think is down the list of my concerns. So what could you live with? I think you'd take 50 yards rushing from him over, a 65, 70% completion percentage, because a year ago, at least, when he was Cincinnati's starter, those were the games that they won. Like if he's comfortable throwing the football, and it probably means the running back run game is working as well, that's the bigger problem for Nebraska.
How worried are you about Walker and Pryor, that two-headed duo that Cincinnati has in the backfield? I guess you can also probably talk about the offensive line as well. How big of a concern for that is you? I know Satterfield wants to run the football. The million-dollar question is, will he be able to run the football, or will he be forced to put the game in the hands of Brandon Sorsby?
Yeah, when I look at their offense, I think it's probably the biggest concern tonight, because Pryor was, their second option at running back, but averaged over 7 yards a carry. Walker was over 800 total yards and 10 touchdowns at Wisconsin a year ago. A guy, if you follow the Big Ten, plenty of people are familiar with. So that's a dangerous tandem. They're replacing a 1,000-yard rusher. You don't want to minimize that, but they've got 2 guys, I think, that if they were on Nebraska's depth chart, you would expect them to be near the top. Is probably the shortest way to put it. And when you look at all the newness on Nebraska's kind of front 6 in a 3-3-5 setting, like I think their ability to hold up against the run is a legitimate question. Doesn't mean they won't be able to do it. It's hard to say, oh, they definitely will, because they've done it the past 2 seasons. Well, most of those guys are gone now. So I think that'll be one of the key matchups, battles, however you want to put it, in this one of, can Cincinnati hand the ball off and run it? Because last year they were really good at that. There was virtually, this is always one of the numbers I look at, there was virtually no difference between their yards per carry in wins and losses. They were just able to run the football across the board. They lost for other reasons.
Brandon Vogel with his Counter Read, counterread.com, the Average Joe Tailgate Show, as we get you ready for Nebraska, Cincinnati. Of course, Real Red Reaction follows digitally on all of our socials. Be sure to catch that. The in-game chat with Brandon Vogel, Aaron Sorensen with Counter Read, counterread.com. Be a part of that. Vogues, Nebraska makes hay how? Who in the receiving game has a big night against Cincinnati?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think expectations are pretty high for Dane Key at this point. And I don't think that's just local. Like most of the national shows or things that I read indicate that as well. I'm really intrigued by Isaiah Hunter, the Cal transfer, however, who's been kind of under the radar, I guess, at least compared to where Dane Key has set it. And of course, you got Ja'Cory Barney, who I think is a guy Nebraska will scheme some things to get him the football early in this game. So of that group, we probably know, well, from a Nebraska perspective, we know the most about Barney, expect the most out of Key. So I'm really intrigued by Isaiah Hunter. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it was, a 4 or 5 catch night for him, but they end up being pretty big ones. And he has a meaningful impact on this game.
It's Brandon Vogel with us here. And Brandon, before we get you out, we do have to bother you for a score prediction. Are you willing to give us one here right before we get things kicked off for Nebraska Cincinnati?
Yeah, I'm kind of landing in the I think typical range for this based on the total and the point spread. But I think Nebraska comes away with a win. I think the advantage of the newness, which is how Scott Satterfield put it this week, kind of up and down Nebraska's coaching staff and certainly the defensive roster plays to their advantage. I've got the Huskers 31-24, so a little bit high scoring, but I think if you could lock those numbers in of like that's what it was in game one and that's what it will be kind of close to in terms of averages at the end of the year, Nebraska has a good season. So that's kind of where I see it going. I think a real key will be because of that newness element. Uh, can Nebraska jump on this team early? Can they use a little bit of the unfamiliarity to build an early lead? If they don't, I think that's where things start to get a little bit iffy.
Brandon Vogel, counterread, counterread.com. Vogues will check in with you Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff from Brandon Vogel. We may have a Mitch Sherman sighting to release the Fury live here in Arrowhead. The Average Joe Tailgate Show continues on here on the Average Joe Network. How we doing, man?
What's up?
How Back into it, the Average Joe Roadshow continues, the RV edition, as we're just south of Lot J. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, our dear friend Mitch Sherman is here from The Athletic. Great stuff with Locked On Nebraska. Be sure to catch that as your first listen. As Mitch, it's game day, baby, and we were fortunate to head down last night. There are many big red souls that are trying to navigate I-29. The grills are lit. Beanbags are being played. There's a lot of hydration going on. How are you?
I'm great. It's 82 degrees, beautiful, no wind, no rain, humidity's down. Like, what a perfect day for football. I came this morning, so I left the Omaha area at 7 a.m. and encountered no resistance on my drive down. So I know some others have not been quite as fortunate as that. It's a parking lot in parts of I-29, as I understand. So be patient if you're on the way down, and the same thing for getting into the sports complex. But where we're at right now, man, this is a little piece of heaven sitting out here right outside the gates of one of my favorite places in the world.
No, it is. And the Snitley boys are bringing, what is this?
Beer shot?
It's a mini beer. It's a mini beer.
Tastes like A&W.
Okay, it tastes like A&W. Snitley boys, cheers, salute.
Huskers!
All right, there we go. Doing a quick beer shot.
Man, it's like a dessert. That's like a dessert beer.
So good, and once it hits your lips, did Frank the Tank once say that?
No kick
What's the
on it.
vanilla in that?
Yeah.
It's like Dairy Queen ice cream.
I know. Wow, that was really good. Need like a case of that to take home.
We might find it.
Please stumbling into the press box here.
We will not do that. We will absolutely not do that. Mitch, as we look at this matchup here, we've kind of laid it out, we've built it up, we've talked about it, but I want to talk about the topic of confidence.
Yeah.
And you need to see it before you believe it for a lot of Nebraska fans. But through 21 hard practices, it sounds like this staff, and it sounds like Coach Rule and company, they like what they've seen.
I think it's been maybe one of the top 2 or 3 objectives of Matt Rule since before camp began, to make this a positive experience that built the confidence of it's the off season is so long I've forgotten how to talk. That's been one of the objectives of Rule, to build up the confidence of this group. And you know, you can't speak it into existence, but there's things that he can do in the way that he coaches and the attitude that he takes to every day. And it's been a very deliberate set of actions from Matt Rule. I can think going all the way back, talking to him in Las Vegas about why he was saying certain things the way that he said them. And he said how he wanted to remove the toxicity from this place, all of it, as much as he could, and infuse positivity. And the reason that you're doing that is to build up the belief in each other, to build up the confidence, try to make that locker room a tight place. You know, there's only so much that you can do from the months of January until you get to here on August 28th. It's like 30% of the battle. Everything else has got to happen now over the next 14 weeks. So we're here, we're finally here, and we're going to find out if all of that work that they've done since January, really since Black Friday last year, when they hit the reset button and we started into the off season despite the bowl game, we're going to find out now in a few hours if all of this is taking hold.
What's your read, Mitch, on the mood of this fan base right now? I mean, I think you get that feel from the inside of this football program. There's a lot of confidence there. I think the Husker fans that I've talked to, they feel confident, but they also want to see it before they truly believe. What's your feel?
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska fans have been burned so much over the past decade that it's impossible, I think, to have a 100% optimistic view about anything that's going on in this program. You can hear it, and they can say it, and everything looks good and everything sounds good, but you don't want to get lulled into believing that you win games because your presentation in the off season is as good as you can make it. Like it again, like it sounds like I'm repeating myself here, but like what happens over the next 14 weeks defines who this program is and what it stands for. Like all of the other stuff is just build up. It matters. It's important. It's good that we talk about it and analyze it. But now we're here on the cusp of when it really matters. And I think the fans recognize that. Like Nebraska, maybe if you went 20 years ago and Nebraska fans hadn't been through as much as they have, as much difficulty and pain, they might buy more into off-season talk and off-season optimism. I think it's still something that they're excited about. You'd much rather have that than the opposite. But let's see what happens out there on the field tonight.
Special teams will play what role tonight? Even, or will they be a difference maker? Prediction?
I'll predict that it's going to be relatively even. I don't think Nebraska's going to win this game because of its special teams, but I don't think Nebraska is going to put itself in position to lose because of what happens on special teams. There's so much buildup. You saw the video come out today about Archie Wilson, and I mean, we've heard so much about this freshman punter, probably more, which is amazing. Like, we know more about him and have heard more about his story than any freshman to come into this program, maybe save for Dylan Raiola in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So that's remarkable considering he just set foot in the United States about 3 months ago and plays a position that normally does not get the kind of hype that it does. He's going to be a big part of the special teams and what Nebraska does as far as dictating field position, but of course they don't want to have to use him much. I think Nebraska's solid at that spot. You can't expect it to be perfect in his first game. I think they're going to be good at the kicking spot. I think their returns are set to be improved, but I'm not looking for a miracle in week 1. Mike Eckler can do a lot of things. He doesn't work miracles. Like, what you're looking to do here is to not make mistakes that change the way the game is flowing.
Mitch, before we get you out of here, I do want to ask a question. I've been batting this around. What is your biggest question mark for this Husker team? What are you going to be watching in the first quarter, maybe the first half, to determine, I guess, what the result of that question is?
I have questions about still have questions about the defensive line. They've answered the questions that we've asked in the interviews. I think they've come out with a narrative about how they have a chip on their shoulder and like this is a unique kind of depth and they're going to rotate a lot of players and it's not going to be the same as a year ago when they had to rely on 2 big bodies in the middle. And you've seen players seemingly emerge late in camp with the rise of Williams Winery up the depth chart, and we see Keona Davis got a black shirt here at the very end of the off season. That's Davis and Elijah Judy is I think ready to be a difference maker, and they have Riley Van Poppel. But all of these guys for the most part haven't gone out and done it snap after snap after snap. Even Cam Lenhart, who's probably got the most experience in big time moments of any of those players. Like, it's not been an every down situation, and it's not been a situation where they've been relied upon when Nebraska needs a stop on 3rd down. That moment's going to come up at some point in this game. Like, Nebraska's not going to just walk out and win this game without needing its defensive line to do something. So when that moment arrives, I'm anxious to see how those guys respond.
It's Mitch Sherman with The Athletic, Locked On Nebraska podcast. Be sure to get subscribed to that and listen to Mitch and his crew. We have pork burnt ends. Wow. Snitley boys are delivering big time. Mitch, go get some burnt ends. Get a brat if you want.
All right.
We got to wrap up hour 1 here.
The score prediction.
Yeah, 31-21 Nebraska.
10-point win, Mitch Sherman says. We will, before we close her down at 7, have prediction karaoke with the masses. The tailgaters are going to swing on by and do their prediction. Average Joe Sports Show, the RV show. We're live at the Arrowhead parking lot. You're invited by. We're just south of Gate J, caddy corner from Gate B, next to Kaufman. The Average Joe Sports Show continues here at Arrowhead. All right, we are winding down this first hour. It is the Average Joe Sports Show Tailgate edition here in the parking lot of Arrowhead, just south of Gate J. The Snitley boys' burnt ends are flat out fantastic. There's a full bar in front of the Joe Mama RV. God love Mitch Sherman for making time and coming by. We are expecting Mark Spindler, Rocco's proud papa, here in hour 2. Mark Cranac is RSVP'd. Bill Dolman en route as well. Elijah Herbal, Chris Schmidt, and Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens right here, post Nebraska and Cincinnati. But a full hour 2. Dan Hoard, voice of the Bearcats, going to be with us. Clausburn. And we will do, for the digital-only show, 6 to 7 p.m., we are going to do prediction karaoke with all the tailgaters coming on through and giving their prediction. So if anything, it'll be incredible people watching.
And one thing that's nice is the other Brian asked us to kind of paint the picture for the tailgating scene here is we don't have to worry, Schmitty, about passing the mic to a Cincinnati fan. I have not seen one. Have you?
They're in witness protection.
I've seen probably thousands of fans out here. They're all wearing red. I mean, Cincinnati also wears red, but I haven't seen a single Cincinnati logo on any shirt out here. It is 100% from what I've seen Husker fans. I'm sure there's some Cincinnati parents or academic advisors somewhere, but as of yet, I have yet to see one. And maybe they just didn't realize how early Husker fans get out here.
It really answers the question, why the hell would Cincinnati sell a home game? Because money talks, and you know what else walks.
It also makes sense why they're not playing it in Indianapolis, because
it wouldn't have mattered.
I mean, you would have gotten a lot of Husker fans out to Indianapolis, but this is a Husker home game. It's as simple as that. I mean, you might have a higher percentage of Husker fans at this game than at your average Big Ten home game even. I mean, it's usually like Michigan comes to town, Ohio State comes to town, whoever it may be. You at least see a couple of shirts walking around downtown. Again, I'm not exaggerating here when I say there has not been a single Cincinnati shirt that I've seen.
Well, we should do a walk and talk and at least pan around a little bit here with the tailgate setup if you're watching on YouTube a little bit. And always like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show. I'm going Blair Witch. Sorry about that for the folks. Let's see if my computer melts. We might get a tent up here before hour 2 starts, but Dan Hoard.
You got cords in the pork belly, and we almost knocked over a water. That was almost a disaster.
That you know, of all things that can go wrong, nothing has yet. We drank Jobu's rum, and we're alive and well right now.
Schmitty, I do have to ask the question here with this traveling fan base. Do you worry about the fan base getting tight if anything were
Absolutely.
to go wrong?
Absolutely.
I mean,
the first sniff. I don't worry about the team, but I don't.
That's the bigger question. Do you worry about that passing along to the team?
No, I think the team will roll with the punches and be able to handle business. And how are you guys doing? Where are you from?
Bellevue.
Bellevue. All right. We're the Average Joe Sports Show out of we cover Nebraska. Good to see you.
You guys see?
We're.
Do you have a number on your tailgate?
I do not. We're just south of Gate J. So
I'm trying to find number 11.
Okay.
Well, good luck.
No, we don't know where Gate J. But
I don't know.
If you're thirsty though, go grab a beer.
Oh, we already have.
You have? Okay. Patrick is in, and he's a big Red fan from Colorado. Hour 2 on the way. I was going to tell you, come on by a little bit after. Nebraska and Cincinnati Arrowhead. We welcome in voice of the Bearcats, voice of the Bengals, Dan Hoard with us. Dan, thanks for taking a few minutes. How you doing today?
Chris, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, this has been a long time coming, all the way back to COVID. Nebraska and Cincinnati finally getting a chance to touch gloves. Dan, wanted to pick your brain about this year's Cincinnati squad. There's been a lot of talk all week for us about Corleone and Sorsby, but what does Coach Satterfield have building? A great start a season ago. What's back, and what are you thinking about this year's Bearcats?
Well, you certainly mentioned two of the best guys on the roster. Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback, is really a third-year college starter, 1 year at Indiana, where he started about half of the season. Then last year in Cincinnati, where he started every game, and now his redshirt junior year, I think they expect him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. He's a true dual threat, equally proficient at passing and running, so I think they have high hopes for him. As for Dante Corleone, it's pretty remarkable, really. He was first-team All-Big 12 last year, even though he was diagnosed with blood clots in his lungs in June, couldn't train for 3 months, couldn't have any contact in training camp, and he was still a really good player. Now he's completely healthy. He's in great shape. He's been working with a nutritionist. I would expect him to have a dominant year. And he's one of those guys that on the first snap or first couple of snaps at the game, I'll be paying attention to the reaction of the guy trying to block him, because typically the first snap or two, that guy goes, whoa, I knew he was strong. I knew he was quick. I didn't know how quick and strong he actually is. And it turns out to be a real battle for the rest of the game.
And yeah, those are the two names we have circled, Dan. It's Corleone, it's Sorsby. Is there anyone else we're missing here with this Cincinnati team that you think Husker fans should be aware of going into this game?
Definitely. So their tight end, Joe Royer, is one of the best in the country. When Todd McShay came out with his first mock draft for next year, he had Joe Royer tabbed as the final pick of the first round of the draft. So I'm not saying he is the equivalent of Travis Kelce, the greatest Cincinnati tight end of them all, but I do think that Joe Royer is going to have a long and productive NFL career. They've got two really good running backs. Evan Pryor, who's back from last year, had 4 touchdowns of 55 or more yards. He's a 4-3 guy, so he's capable of taking one to the house on any play. And then they added Wisconsin's top running back from last year, Tawee Walker, in the transfer portal. I know he played against Nebraska last year. He's a bowling ball type guy, so it's a good combination of thunder and lightning between Walker and Pryor. Then on the defensive side of the ball, in addition to Corleone, they've got a great NFL prospect at linebacker in Jake Golday. He made the Bruce Feldman Freaks list for one of the most athletic players in college football. He's 240 pounds and runs nearly 23 miles an hour. So he definitely can go sideline to sideline and make a bunch of plays at linebacker.
You know, Dan Hoard with us here, voice of the Cincinnati Bearcats, voice of the Cincinnati Bengals on the Average Joe Sports Show. As you have kind of looked at Nebraska, what's your impressions of the Big Red? What are you seeing? What are you thinking about this? I know the build up and the fan reaction is, all right, is it going to actually happen this year? Will this team be consistent? Will they be relevant? Will they be something to be reckoned with even all the way into November? But there's a lot of nervousness, Dan, by the Nebraska fans. Well, there's mixed, some are confident, some are worried, some are somewhere in between. What's your view from 30,000 feet up here on the Big Red?
Well, I would say that nervousness and worry is the norm for just about every fan base in college football. And in Nebraska's case, particularly in a league like the Big Ten that's produced the last 2 national champions, it's a great league and it's hard to finish near the top. I would say, as the voice of the Cincinnati Bearcats looking at this matchup, the thing that concerns me most is Dana Holgorsen. I think he is a great offensive coordinator, and I think, Nebraska fans just saw really him scratching the surface of what he's capable of with a great quarterback in Dylan Raiola. Dana Holgorsen, to me, is Cliff Kingsbury. He's a guy that maybe didn't turn out to be a great head coach, although he had some success at West Virginia. but I think he's a fantastic offensive coordinator, much like Cliff Kingsbury has been with Washington since moving back to that role. So I think Matt Rule hired a great OC, and I know the Cincinnati defensive coaches probably had some sleepless nights trying to figure out exactly what they're going to see in this matchup.
Yeah, Dan, and as you look back at Nebraska's season last year, Dane is one of the reasons why, in addition to some transfer portal guys at wide receiver, that you can't really look at last season as a story of predicting this season. And that's a reality in college football with the portal and how crazy everything is every single offseason. To flip this around to Cincinnati, what happened this offseason with the Bearcats that might change the perspective if you just go look at the record from last year for the Bearcats?
Well, in terms of personnel, the biggest change is wide receiver. Their top 7 wide receivers in terms of catches are gone. So they have completely flipped the room. And honestly, the talent level is night and day better. They had a hard time once they got into the thick of their Big 12 competition last year. They had a hard time of getting guys open, at least at wide receiver. Joe Royer got open at tight end. The running backs were productive, but their wide receivers were not able to get separation. So they loaded up on speed in the portal. I think the 2 guys who have been most impressive at practice have been Jeff Caldwell, who's a 6'5" target, who comes from a very small school, Lindenwood University, but he averaged more than 20 yards a catch during his time there. And then the other guy who's looked good at practice is Cyrus Allen, who comes from Texas A&M. So the wide receiver group is completely different. Will they be in sync with their quarterback in week 1? I think that's going to be a real question against a good Nebraska defense, but I do think it's a talented group of players.
Dan, thoughts on the Cincy offensive line? What's coming to Arrowhead? And that's been the question mark. Not that there's not talent, it's just not real experience for the Nebraska front 7.
I do think that that's a question, and this game is a neutral site game in name only. It's probably going to be 90% Nebraska fans. So anytime you talk about crowd noise being a factor, the position group that you worry about the most, if you're the team that the crowd is not rooting for, is the offensive line. I do think Cincinnati has talented players there, but they've got 3 new starters. Their left tackle is new. Their left guard is new. Their right guard is new. Now, the left tackle was a very good player at South Dakota, an all-league player. The right guard was an all-league player in the Mid-American Conference. So these guys have proven track records, but it's the first time they're all playing together, and they're going to be playing in one of the most noisy environments of them all at Arrowhead. So I do think that's a legitimate question mark going into the game.
Dan Hoard with his voice of the Cincinnati Bearcats joining us on the Average Joe Sports Show. You hear Dan, of course, with the Cincinnati Bengals. We have been longtime members of the Zach Taylor fan club, covering him here when he was playing for Nebraska. Love the Burrow family as well. We'll get a couple of Cincinnati thoughts, Bengals-wise, from you in a moment. But I got to ask you, Dan, you've been doing Cincy games since the early 2000s, I think since 2000. And did you ever imagine that the Kelsey boys would be what they've become? Talent, yes, at Cincinnati, but they've, of course, they are, one's headed to the Hall of Fame and one will retire and head to the Hall of Fame. So did you see that coming is what I'm asking.
No, nobody could have possibly envisioned that they would be global superstars, not only on the field, but off it. I certainly thought that Travis Kelce was going to have a productive NFL career. My boss, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Brown, used to pepper me with questions about Travis Kelce in his final year at Cincinnati because the Bearcats were in the market for a tight end at that time. And Mike wanted to know my thoughts on Travis from seeing him every week at practice and in games. As it turned out, the Bengals drafted a tight end that year who became a Pro Bowler in Tyler Eifert, but unfortunately he was not able to stay healthy, and Travis obviously has. So we're very proud of them in Cincinnati. They've been great to their alma mater. Obviously, they talk about the Bearcats often, which is tremendous publicity for this program. It undoubtedly helps them in recruiting, and I'm not surprised, but I was happy to see that Travis intends to be there on Thursday night. The last time Cincinnati opened a season with a game anything like this was in Luke Fickell's second year as the head coach. So this was about 6 or 7 years ago. They opened with a road game in the Rose Bowl against UCLA, and Travis made it to that game. So I'm not surprised he would make it to a game that's much closer to home at Arrowhead, and I hope I get the opportunity to spend a few minutes with him on Thursday.
And you mentioned the Fickell era where expectations were sky high. We've batted around expectations for Nebraska probably for 2 months now on this show here in 2025. What do you think the expectations are for the Bearcats here this season?
For them to be better. They won 5 games last year. They need to win at least one more to be 500 or better and be bowl eligible. And I think that's a very realistic possibility for this team. And hopefully they can do better than that. I would love to see Cincinnati, add 3 wins to last year's win total and get to 8 wins, something like that. It's year 3 for Scott Satterfield. He did have big shoes to fill. Luke Fickell obviously took the Bearcats to the college football playoff in his next to last year as the head coach here. It wasn't easy for Scott Satterfield when he took the job. They moved into the Big 12 in the portal era. When you lose your coach, you lose most of your roster. So it's very challenging to take over a team under any circumstances, much less going into a much tougher league. But I think they've slowly and surely built a solid roster, and I do think this is a year that Cincinnati can have a winning record and return to bowl eligibility.
Dan Schmitty mentioned Zach Taylor, one of our favorites. He remains a big Husker fan. Him and his son make it to a couple Husker basketball games every single year. I know your Twitter header profile picture is you and Zach. Have you had the conversation with Zach about this game on Thursday?
I have, although I'll tell you that we talked about it fairly early in Bengals training camp.
Okay.
Now that we're getting closer to the season opener, I haven't had as many casual one-on-one conversations with Zach, but early in camp when, it wasn't quite as intense as it is now, we had a lengthy conversation one day before practice about this matchup. So, we know where each other's heart stands. Now, Zach, of course, is a former University of Cincinnati assistant coach. He spent a year as the offensive coordinator at UC before eventually becoming an NFL head coach. So he's got some Bearcat ties as well, but we obviously know which team he's rooting for on Thursday.
Play-by-play man for Cincinnati, the Bengals, the Bearcats, Dan Hoard. Dan, you've got Hendrickson that got the bump. You've got Joe Burrow. You have... a question mark. What are the Bengals this year? And I know the last time since he was in Arrowhead in the postseason, you did what no one else has really done, and that's win on the road. That Super Bowl run with Cincinnati just a few years back with Burrow in his second year. What do you think of the Bengals this year? The strengths, and is it going to really be about the offense and Jamar and company helping carry this team to a playoff push?
I would be surprised if they don't make the playoffs, assuming that Joe Burrow is healthy. This will be one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. They were able to keep both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which a year ago nobody thought that they would be able to do. Chase Brown is emerging as one of the top young running backs in the NFL. They've got an excellent pass-catching tight end in Mike Gesicki, and they added another in Noah Fant. I think the offensive line is great at both tackle spots, solid at center, maybe a little bit of a question mark at guard. So that's going to be, one of the concerns going into the season. But having said all that, it's all about the defense in Cincinnati. They had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. It doesn't have to be top 5, but it can't be bottom 5. If the defense can get closer to the middle of the pack or better, this will be a Super Bowl contender. That's really the story in Cincinnati this year.
And Dan, Schmitty brought it up at AFC title game a couple years ago. I think you might appreciate this. I had a friend who worked for the Chiefs that season, and when the Chiefs lost, he said, hey, come on down to Arrowhead. The Chiefs don't have a game this weekend. I'll take you through behind the scenes. And that visitor's locker room still smelled like cigar smoke a week after that AFC title game.
Yeah, they earned the right to puff those cigars in the locker room that day. They almost earned the right again the following year with that great AFC championship rematch that Patrick Mahomes won with his scramble on a bad ankle and leading to the game-winning field goal by Harrison Butker. These two teams have had unbelievable games, haven't they? Even last year in week 2, the Bengals seemingly had the game won at Arrowhead and then committed a defensive penalty on 4th and 16 in the final minute that allowed the Chiefs to win that game. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they match up in another AFC Championship game this year. And if that's the case, hopefully for my sake, it'll be in Cincinnati this time.
Dan Hoard, voice of the Bengals and Bearcats, with us on the Average Joe Sports Show. Dan, we'll see you Thursday. Best to you, and thanks for the time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Rolling through a pregame edition here of the Average Joe Sports Show. Elijah Herbal and Chris Schmidt taking you up to kickoff between, I guess not up to kickoff, up to 7 o'clock before we get things kicked off at Arrowhead between the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Schmitty, he's going out and finding one Mark Spindler, father of Rocco. He's going to be joining us here in just a moment, so stick with us after the break and we'll get caught up with Mark. As well, we'll get caught up with Clausburg and get some of his thoughts on Nebraska, Cincinnati, and the other games going down in college football this week. So keep it tuned in to the Average Joe Sports Show here as we get you all set for Nebraska and Cincinnati tonight at Arrowhead.
Back with you. It's the Average Joe Tailgate Show live from Arrowhead. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Mark Spindler with us here. A proud papa is Rocco starting at that right guard spot. Mark, it is good to see you. I am not going to arm wrestle you.
I'm ready to go, baby. We're ready to rock and roll. I mean, what an exciting time. I mean, you know, for myself, for the family, for the Big Red Nation, kickoff, like, you know, the 2025 season at a legendary stadium. Does it get better than this?
We've covered a lot of Nebraska openers, Dublin to here to Boulder, and Nebraska fans are juiced. They are coming in droves probably 65, 70,000 Nebraska fans still trying to get down here. How you feeling here for Rocco? How's your family feeling here with this opportunity? Cincinnati's could be a tricky squad.
Well, I mean, the opportunity speaks for itself. You go from one legendary program to another legendary program. I mean, that's really what it was for us. When you think about Nebraska, you think about the nostalgia, you think about the history. I mean, it just speaks for itself. You know, the opportunity to come here and play and possibly win a Big Ten championship is no doubt exciting. But, you know, this game, like you said, it could be a tricky one. You know, Cincinnati always puts together a pretty solid, tough, disciplined squad. We saw that at Notre Dame a few years back where they came in and really took us to the woodshed. So, you know, these are the ones you're supposed to win, but it could get slippery, and you got to stay disciplined. You got to play fundamental football. You got to make plays when you have to make plays, and you should come out with the win.
Before we dive too deeply into the game this evening, what do you thought of the tailgating experience? You said a couple months ago you were excited for it. What have you thought so far? How does it compare to Notre Dame?
I got to tell you, I mean, you know, we're about 3 hours from Lincoln, right? So, I mean, that's no chip shot. I mean, for these Nebraska, you know, crazy fans, you know, in a good way, I'm sure it is. But, you know, for just a normal fan, I mean, this is a long drive to come over here and make this commitment. But what I've seen so far early on, like, I mean, the gates just opened not even long ago, and to see these people cocked, locked, and ready to rock, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in Lincoln. I mean, I am just stoked to see what that's about.
You got this opener here in Arrowhead, but Mark, you've got Nebraska fans that love their football team. They're down here for it. You've had some burnt ends. You've had a cold one. There's shots aplenty. It's all go time here for Nebraska. Talk to me a little bit here about what you think this offensive line can be. Good group, talented group, and pretty versatile group.
Well, you look at them, they have the size and they have the athleticism to play with just about any other offensive line in big Power 5 football. Let's just, you know, call it the way that it is. You know, for the offensive line, it's really about gelling, it's about chemistry, it's about continuity. You know, and like Rocco says, they get 5 to play as one. And so it's going to be critical early on, beginning right now, in this very moment, for them to really, you know, become one unit. There's no doubt as time goes on, they will get better and better as they go. But will they rise to that occasion today? How much chemistry, how much continuity will they play with? The center's going to be a key. Raiola's going to be a key back there making some calls. And then obviously they have to line up and they have to do their job.
How has Rocco felt coming out of fall camp? It should be his last fall camp as an NCAA athlete before he makes the step to the next level. How did fall camp go for him? How's he feeling?
He said this, no doubt, an old school camp, and he doesn't even know what old school really is. But for him to say that, it kind of speaks volume about how disciplined, how tough, and how rigorous the camp was. I mean, there was days that we went that we didn't speak because he was pretty beat down. So I think Coach Rule really knows that this is the year they want to take the next step, and so he put them really through a meat grinder, and they should be prepared. Specifically as the offense goes, he said there's a lot of weapons. You know, the receivers are outstanding. He said Dylan gets time to throw the ball, he can sling it around, and clearly with the offensive line, they had their way, I think, with the defense, in a lot of different ways. And that's something that Rocco really wasn't used to because, coming from Notre Dame, it was like a 50-50 split. So you kind of knew when you played against other defenses, this offense seemed to dominate, during training camp from what he said and from what I've heard. So it's going to be interesting how that translates out here this evening.
I'm interested with the Nebraska offensive line. There's a lot of hope and hype around it in a good way because of the talent, the experience, and the guys that have been working hard since the offseason. Flip that around, you're a defensive line guy. Some days you're just going up against a really good offensive line.
That's a great point. And I never even thought of that way. Because when you do look at this offensive line, you have three guys that are pure flat out returning starters to this team, and you have two starters, that are coming from other teams, right? So, like I said, they're athletic, they're big, they're strong, they're physical. So that is a really, really great point. From the defensive side, maybe it's just that these guys are pretty good. And let's just hope it translates out there that way, because if this offensive line is that good, it's a testament to possibly then how good the defensive line and how the defense is going to play. So let's look at it that way. It's a really good point. We're going to find out here soon enough.
You're a guy who played football at a really high level. As you prepare for the first game of the season now from a fan point of view, but maybe put on your analyst hat, what are you going to be watching for from this team as a whole?
Well, I think discipline is key, right? I mean, Nebraska football, I think over the last several years, even prior to Coach Rule, I personally believe they lack some of that discipline and they lack some of that toughness. Listening to what Rocco has said to me about this training camp, how grueling it was and how much everyone was held accountable, kind of will speak for itself in a sense of discipline and character, how that actually translates onto the football field. So I'm going to look to see, are they smart and tough, right? I mean, that's the key. Anybody can be dumb and tough. Are they smart and tough? Do they know alignment, assignment, responsibility? How seamless are they? How much continuity do they have, specifically on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, they do have a lot of new components, so that continuity and that chemistry offensively is always critical. The defensive side of the ball, look, you just got to have that black shirt mentality. You got to fly around, you got to hit people, and if hit properly, the body will bend or break. So just take on that personality of what Nebraska football has been, what the tradition says you are, and just go out there and play that way, because you can make mistakes that you can cover up on the defensive side of the ball if you're playing fast and if you're playing tough and you're playing smart.
Mark Spindler with us here. It's the Average Joe Tailgate Show. We're live here in the Arrowhead parking lot. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Prada Fairbury, Bill Dolman, Mark Cranac en route. We are excited for the second and hopefully many more appearances of one Mark Spindler to talk some Big Red football. So I got to ask you here, we'll get back to football in a moment, but what do you need now? Do you need a brat? Do you need...
I need to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I need people to be slinging some beers to me. I got to need a shotgun one, because I gotta get my endorphins going. I got to get my adrenaline going right now. And there's no better way to do it. We just had a couple breakfast shots. That's great. But I mean, there ain't nothing like shotgun and a beer.
Well, compare the nerves, if you don't mind, of watching your son play compared to your days back in the day playing. Are they worse as a parent, as a fan?
There's no doubt. The most awesome part of whether it's a Thursday night game or whether it's a Saturday afternoon game is what we're doing right now, the tailgate. Just look at this crowd. Look at these people coming in. Let's do Big Red! I mean, they're cocked, they're locked, they're ready to rock, they're drinking their beer, they're eating their brats, they're eating their barbecue. I mean, this is the best part. And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to watch my son play. I mean, come on. Then you're taking a step back and you got all this kind of junk going on like you're watching, but clearly I love this portion of football. I always had, and I think I always will. But there is something special about to see your son run out. I mean, it's going to be exciting for me to watch him. And make no mistake about it, I'd be surprised if big number 50 wasn't leading him out of the tunnel, because that's kind of his thing. He'll be ready to go. He'll be ready to play. And myself and his mother, to see him in that jersey tonight, representing Nebraska football, is going to be legendary.
Mark, I got to ask, from an accountability and leadership standpoint, as a proud dad, but also kind of his football mentor, how did you instill that in him, the leadership aspect? You got to perform, yeah, but also not being afraid to be vocal. I know you're not.
Well, that's one side that I have a slight edge in. What is that word? Loquacious, something like that? The ability to be able to talk.
I won't spell it because I can't.
But, he's more of a silent assassin. But when it comes to coming out of that tunnel, I mean, you'll see the intensity. He's breathing fire out of his nose. He's breathing fire out of his eyeballs. He's ready to let the jackals know who the lion actually is. And so tonight's going to be a great opportunity. He understands that this is his last college opportunity to run out from a tunnel, and I won't be surprised, that he's going to be ready to go and hopefully make the most of it.
Have you given him the okay for like one personal foul today if he feels he needs to do it?
I look at.
He's grinning.
I told him, look, I've told him since he's a kid when he played the offensive line. My mindset is you should play the offensive line with a defensive lineman mentality. That means finishing guys every single opportunity that you got. I mean, these guys, I hate to say, these offensive linemen, they're just more cerebral, and they really need to be. They need to play with patience and understanding, right, and continuity, where this is why I love defense. You just play with, like my high school coach would say, reckless, abandoned, hell-bent for leather. Now, I never knew what that meant then. I didn't know what it meant now, but I do means if you just go out there and just fly around and smash some guys. There is some of that on the offensive line, and he is a mauler, but at the end of the day, they have to have patience, they have to have understanding, and one thing that you don't want to do on the offensive side of the ball, knock on wood, is have any penalties, and that's one thing he's been very, very disciplined with, very little penalties. Hold on. The Italian's coming out in me. I just spit on the ground here, because I don't want to see any of that today.
It's Mark Spindler with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Tailgate edition here outside Joe Mama's RV. We made it down to Kansas City. We have our picks segment coming up next with our dear friend. He's imaginary. He wears red. Clasburn is on deck. So you want to stick around for a pick segment? Are you okay to do that? I don't want to get you into murky water.
There's no murky water for me to go with.
I'm
picking Nebraska right now. So, but there will be a couple of good ones that are coming up that I'd like to see where you guys are at, especially that Notre Dame-Miami game. Wow, that's going to be one.
Best experience ever was Nebraska at Notre Dame. We went. It was incredible. Nebraska fans have no love for Miami, so we'll see where that is. A quick timeout. The forecast coming up with Nebraska, Cincinnati. Mark Spindler with us here on the Average Joe Show. Back with it here on the Average Joe Tailgate Show. We are just outside the Arrowhead entrance. It is the Joe Mama RV, the maiden voyage. Maybe it's got to make its way to Penn State, Elijah. What do you say?
Hey, if they'll let me take it, if they want to come along with me, I am more than happy.
We might have to take it to Happy Valley. We are booked for Minnesota, but it is the start of 2025. Excited to have Mark Spindler sitting in with us here for the picks, and we welcome in Closburn. He's imaginary. He wears red. A shortened forecast as we'll talk Nebraska, Cincinnati. Claus, how you feeling? It's 2025, the opener. The grills are fired up, the drinks are poured, and the sun is bright. It is Big Red football season.
Well, I'm 14 runses and about 23 Shasta Mountain rushes deep, so I'm ready to go. And I'll tell you what, I got a little scared earlier. I found out that Cincinnati used to have a coach named Chuck Studley. And how do you compete with a team that had a coach named Chuck Studley? Well, I'll tell you, you get the son of Mark Spindler to come play offensive line for you, and then listen to Mark on the Average Joe Show, and you'll run through 7, 8, 9, 10 cinder block walls. I'm ready to go.
I love it, Claus. So, what do you know about Cincinnati? I mean, I know they had WKRP, they had the Amazing Reds with Sparky Anderson and company. He's a big Boomer Esiason guy, and they would play the hell out of Welcome to the Jungle. And we love the Burrow family, and we're the president of the Zach Taylor fan club. All that being said, Cincinnati football's had a lot of really good coaches come through there.
Well, they've had a lot of guys that have kind of used it as a springboard. Brian Kelly and Luke Fickell, and then of course Butch Davis left there and went on to win several championships at Life. So they do have a pretty good history, but as good a history as they have of coaches, that's how bad their chili is. So I still think we've got a pretty good shot.
Claus, are you surprised at all that I have not yet seen a single Cincinnati fan anywhere in the tailgating scene, anywhere in the parking lot here at Arrowhead? Does that surprise you?
Well, it really doesn't. Their fans are usually spending their time on Twitter trying to rile up the other fan base to no avail, and we all know that if there is one college that's any good at traveling that's named after the city it's in, it's the University of Pittsburgh. And yes, I am sucking up to Mark right now.
Claus, how do you see this thing shaking out? Why and how does Nebraska win?
Well, Christopher, back many, many years ago, there was a person on this very radio station in KFOR named Kathy Blythe, and her birthday would have been today. And she hosted a program called Problems and Solutions. And I'll tell you what, Cincinnati is going to have a problem with our offensive line. They're going to have a problem with our quarterbacks and receivers. And not even the great Kathy Blythe would have a solution for that. So I think we run the ball up and down the field, and I think we win this ball game 31 and Cincinnati 10.
Okay, so Claus, you are all about the cover. You're all about the overs, right? Overs are right around there.
31-10 is on.
31-10, yeah, my math is still bad. So you're feeling good about the offense. Dana Holgerson, I know he's back for more, but I think that's a reason to be positive. I'm going to ask Mark Spindler what your take is here. If Nebraska gets it done, why do they get it done?
Well, clearly the offense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But again, how much do they gel? How much continuity do they have? I mean, regardless, they got to put up at least 28 points to 35 points, and I think that's enough to make the difference in this ball game. But make no mistake about it, Cincinnati is a disciplined football team. They always have been. And they'll come in here and they'll play. You know, this 3-3-5 defense that they run, you know, it's going to give you a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things down the field. But when you get inside that red zone, it becomes a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult. So how does Nebraska convert once they get inside the red zone? But more importantly, are they able to pull off a couple of big plays? Because the way this defense is designed is not to allow these like high-powered receivers and quarterback to be able to, beat you with the long play. So it's kind of a bend but don't break defense. But I see this game somewhere around 31, 35, 21.
As I look at this game tonight, I really am a believer in what Dan Hoard can do offensively. The 3-3-5 defense, Nebraska's seen it before in practice, what they ran under Tony White. We'll see what Coach Butler comes out with. But I think the offense, I shouldn't say won't have issues moving the football, but as I said, 250 through the air, 150 on the ground should be very, very doable for this team. If they can do that, I feel very confident about their chances. Defensively, it's a lot of new faces. There might be an adjustment process, but I still think that this defense is going to be able to create enough havoc plays to win this football game. I'm at about 31-21 Nebraska gets it done.
Claus, Mark, Elijah.
Listen, Elijah, it wouldn't matter if Cincinnati was able to bring back Harambe.
Wow. Claus, I'm going to say Nebraska 31, Cincinnati 28. I think Nebraska gives up a few big plays because of all the new faces on defense. I like the offense to carry him, and I like the offense to put a drive together, a game-winning drive. Nebraska's been chasing that for a while here. Tight ball game, one-score ball game. I don't need to tell you, Claus, you'll throw something at me. But I think that changes tonight, and a tight game would do the team good, and a tight win to open the year would be a monster springboard. And I think Cincinnati will go on to have a pretty good year in the Big 12 because of what they have with Corleone in the middle and with what they have with Sorsby in their wideout. So, not to mention the running crew they have. So, I think Cincinnati may put some points up. I think it's Nebraska's offense that has the answer.
You're going to need some help with your gambling picks. See if Pete Rose's bookie made it over there, a Cincinnati fella. He might be able to give you some tips. We got this one in the bag, and I've got I think two or three more stadium slices of vowels as well. So we're going to keep the party going.
Yeah, what plans do you have for the game, Claus? You talked about the Shastas, you talked about the slices of vowels. How are you going to be enjoying this football game?
Well, I'm going to be kicked back in the recliner with Amon Brook, the Jet Clausburn, laying right across me, learning exactly what it means to be a black shirt and what he's going to have to do to get that scholarship, because Daddy doesn't quite have the scratch for the full ride just yet.
Claus, does Taylor Swift make an appearance tonight? Do you care?
Who?
Travis's girlfriend.
Fiance.
Oh, yes. Well, I tell you what, the last female pop artist I was really into was Roberta Flack. So I don't know a whole lot about Taylor, but if she comes by, why, that'll be fine.
Claus, do you have a thought, a little preview? Do you have a Miami Notre Dame thought? 30 seconds.
Well, another example of Catholics versus conflicts, and I always believe if the Lord is on your side, who can go against you? So give me Notre Dame in that one. I think Miami and Notre Dame are the two most perpetually overrated programs in history. So we'll see which one of them moves up by losing.
Claus, you be good. We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll wind down the second hour of the Average Joe Show. with you here on the Average Joe Sports Show. So we're winding down radio coverage on the Average Joe Network. Big thanks to all of our lovely listeners in Lincoln, Columbus, Kearney, Hastings, Grand Island, and the surrounding areas. We're going digital here, 6 to 7. So head to YouTube to watch the show. Like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show 7 days a week. We're doing the post game also on YouTube, KFORnow.com as well. Real Red Reaction immediately after Nebraska, Cincinnati, digitally, Facebook, Twitter as well. So catch our thoughts, and maybe we get a visit with Mark Spindler again post Nebraska. We'll see what everything entails. But it's been awesome to hang out, talk more ball with you here. We got your prediction. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a hard-fought ball game, and you gotta love moments like this to kick off the season in an environment like this, because the game is tough enough, but man, it's like Gladiator, that arena you walk into.
Yeah, well, I talked to Rocco this morning, and they had been over here yesterday. He said he can tell it's going to be an electric stadium, and it's going to be really loud. I can remember back in the 90s when we played over here, and I can just remember number 35. When you can remember the guy's number, Christian Okoye,
Yep.
the Nigerian Nightmare, I got to tell you. And listening to that tomahawk chop, I mean, it was outstanding. So it's a legendary place, and what they've done over the last, decade here has been just obviously speaks for itself. And so to be able to kick off the season in a stadium like this, with an atmosphere like this, on a Thursday night, I think it's on ESPN, so it's a nationally televised game. It's just a great opportunity for everyone to showcase their skills and let Nebraska, showcase who they are and what they're going to be in 2025.
Mark, season kicks off at Arrowhead, but when's the first chance you're going to have to come out and see Memorial Stadium back in Lincoln?
Well, I'm probably leaving right from here and heading right back. I mean, God willing, I'm not missing a game, but I can't wait for that home opener to be sitting up above that tunnel and watch that smoke, they say, and watch them come out. And then for the first night game, I mean, is that a night game? Yep. First game is, I cannot wait to see that light show and those type of things. It's going to be outstanding.
Mark, does stage make a difference? Does it amp you? Does it drain you? Does it put extra pressure on?
It's a good question. I think you have to really manage your emotions, because with stage comes stage fright sometimes, right? And you got to be a little careful to be able to manage those type of things, because sometimes, the better team doesn't win, the best team on game day does, and whoever can handle those emotions, because make no mistake about it, I mean, there's going to be probably 65, 70, 80% Nebraska fans here, and it's going to be crazy. You're going to be cock-locked and ready to rock, and then when you run out of that tunnel, it just fuels that adrenaline, and you got to be able to manage that adrenaline. Otherwise, by the end of the first quarter, you'll be drained. I mean, that's what adrenaline does for you. I mean, Mike Tyson, legendary, talked about fire and fear. I mean, moments before a fight, he was almost crying, and then he turned that into a rage. So if you can't handle that adrenaline, it could be good night, baby.
Kickoff coming up here, 8 o'clock ESPN. We are not done. We have more Average Joe Sports Show. Mark, we'll get you to the cocktail. Hang out, brother.
All right, I'll see what I can do, brother. I'll see what I can do.
All right, a quick timeout, and we'll shift it over to the digital side. We'll see if we can't contact the pride of Fairbury. See if he's screaming in traffic. Mark Cranac may be on his way. We're excited to have Mark Spindler with us, Elijah Herbal, Chris Schmidt. Always like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show podcast. Get that downloaded, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, as Hour 3 commences digitally, YouTube, and on Twitter.
This guy over here, he's got it going on, huh?
Back at it, the Average Joe tailgate from Arrowhead. We welcome in Hall of Fame coach. He is smiling that football is here. Coach Gary Barnett. Coach, how we doing? It's a good time of year. It's week 1 after week 0. How are you?
I'm doing fine. My wife just looked at me like, no kidding, football's here.
Joy or anger or somewhere in between about
she loves that I have a passion and will stay out of her hair while she paints during the day.
Yeah.
But it can be all consuming, and that's with me, that's sort of the way I do my life. So it's we've had a few years of this, so
just a touch. All consuming is a great way to put it, because Arrowhead going to be consumed by Nebraska fans tonight, Coach. And I'll get your thoughts on this matchup. I'm interested. There's all sorts of speculation and prognostication with, Nebraska and Matt Rule. There's excitement, but there's also the wait and see part of this, because, Nebraska is supposed to have delivered, Coach, in past years and hasn't. And it was pretty awesome to hear Dana Holgorsen this week. He said, I want to see what their look in their eye is when it comes to actually going and doing it. And you know that better than anybody as a coach. You think your team's ready. You hope your team's ready, but let's talk about making sure your team is ready to go out there and perform on stage.
Yeah, the first game, Chris, you don't ever really know. I mean, you've been coaching dogs that are chasing cars for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, the excitement's worn down, and all of a sudden, wow, we got another week at camp, and then we don't play for another week, and so then you don't get as much out of them, and then the week that the first game rolls around, then they kick it back into gear. And, that's true with coaches too. And so every coach is wishing they had another 4 days. Every player was wishing it was today. And so that's just the way it goes in this sport. So, knowing if they're ready, it really comes down to whether or not they're at a even keel emotional level, prepared to make adjustments as things don't go their way, or as they see things that they didn't prepare for. And you don't go into it thinking, okay, we got some things they didn't prepare for. Boy, are we going to get them. You go in going, okay, what is it? They're going to do the same to us. They're going to have some things that we don't know anything about. And what are we going to do? So it becomes a what if situation this week in camp, and trying to show them everything that can happen that you weren't planning on. And I think it's just whether or not they absorb it. If you got a senior laden group, they understand that the first game is full of adjustments like crazy, more so than any other game. And if you don't have a senior laden team, if you've got a bunch of guys that are brand new, then they're ready to go chase a car rather than adjust to what's going on. So, but it's part of it. It's fun. And, you look back and today's crisis is next week's joke. And that's the way it is. And, as far as fans, wondering whether Rule can get it done, that's not what you're there for. You're there for right now to make as much noise, to create a home field advantage, either spiritually in your living room watching on TV, or whether you're at the game. You have a chance to have a decided advantage in this game with the crowd. And so you got to do your job, and your job is to make this as tough for that team, Cincinnati, to play in there in Kansas City as possible. So everybody's got a job to do, and then at the end of the day, we'll find out if everybody did their job. Go on. It won't be the end of the world no matter what.
Gary Barnett with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show Tailgate edition here at Arrowhead. The launching pad is what you can circle for that first game. You nailed it, Coach, with the learning experience side of it as well. And I see both sides of the street for this first game, because Nebraska's pretty unique. They're one of the younger teams, but there's enough old guys sprinkled in that it could be all right. And Let's talk a little bit about that dynamic, because some of the youth you're leaning on, Coach, or the new you're leaning on from the portal has shown a lot of talent. So talk to me a little bit about talent versus experience.
Well, first of all, talent's going to fail unless it's skilled. And to be skilled, you've got to spend hours and hours and hours, honing your craft. The talent piece of it, it ain't going to hold up. And so if they put in the work, if they understand it, if players understand what it takes to be good, then you have a chance to have a good football team. And if they don't, then, the coaches have to do everything. And that's why you always want a player-led team rather than a coaches-led team, because a player-led team means that players have taken themselves to a level where now they need coaches to take them to the next level. A coaches-led team means you've had to take them where they could have taken themselves. And so you can't ever get them to their potential. So, I don't know what kind of team Matt feels like he has in that regard. And really, you hope for it. You don't always see some of that stuff, but you've got to test it. And the way you test it is in these games. And, it's really hard these days putting together a player-led team, because so many portal changes, and you guys aren't nearly like we are here, where there's 75% of our team is new. And so trying to put a team together that's ready to prepare for adjustments, man, you got to have a lot of buy-in, and you got to have a lot of buy-in with some egos. So the first game's tough, but it's so exciting, and you're ready to go. And, at the end of the day, somebody's going to be really happy and somebody's going to be really sad.
Coach, what do you think of Cincinnati? And I know we touched on Cincy last week. Sorsby, I've been watching a lot of him, and that dude's dynamic, can really do things with his legs. He's tough. He can throw it. Cincinnati's got some speed and talent at their wide receiver spot. Running game's nice. So I think they'll probably try and go to work there, because Nebraska's question mark on defense is probably that defensive line without Ty or Nash up there. So that probably is the obvious game plan. But what would you tell your quarterback if you're Cincy here to do in this ball game? The other part of it, I want to ask you about Sorsby, Coach Barnett. Does he remind you of anybody that you've seen in college?
Chris, it's been over a year since we played him, or been a year since we played him. And the thing I was most impressed with is Cincinnati is always solid. Cincinnati's not a team that, when you talk about great teams in college football, Cincinnati never comes up. When you talk about the best teams in college football, you don't bring Cincinnati up. But when you look at the end of the year and you see who's won games and who's had big upsets and who's played consistently all the way through, then you got to put Cincinnati in the list. I mean, Corey Kiner rushed for 1,153 yards last year, and Sorsby threw for the exact same amount of yardage that Dylan Raiola did. So you got a two-headed monster there on Cincinnati's offense. And watching them last year as we prepared for them, I was more impressed with them. The more I watched them, and the more I watched them play good teams, and they're never out of a game. They're well coached. They're just a team that you got to play every play, and if you let down, this team will find a way to beat you. And if you don't, you're probably better than they are, a little bit better, and you're at least a touchdown, and you really do have a home field advantage there in Kansas City. But this is a team that if you don't respect them, they'll beat you, and that's the bottom line.
Gary Barnett with us. Coach, going to switch gears, ask you your reaction to the news that came down with Coach Fitzgerald getting his settlement, and sounds like Coach Fitz can be coaching again soon, we hope.
Yeah, well, all I know is we're all getting together there for a reunion in October, and I'll guarantee you Fitz is going to take the bill for the first round of drinks. So It's great for Fitz. It's, everybody did the right thing. Northwestern admits that Fitz didn't have anything to do with the hazing or knowledge. Fitz admits that there is now a culture of hazing, and if he'd have known, he'd done something about it. So both sides did a good job of owning up to some responsibility, and now everybody can go on with their life. Northwestern can put this aside. Fitz can go on to whatever's next for him, and there will be something next for Fitz. There's no question about it. What or where, we'll have to wait to the end of the year to see what opens up. But I'm just happy that Fitz's family now doesn't have to be stared at the grocery store. So it's, and whether people were staring or not, you'd always think they were. So it's, I'm just glad that it's all settled before the season starts. They don't have, announcers won't be talking about that in every game. It won't be on the news every day. Put it to the ground, throw some grass over it, and let's go.
Coach Gary Barnett with us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Thursday tailgate, getting ready for Nebraska and Cincinnati in Arrowhead. Neutral site, but going to be heavily Nebraska favored. Coach, let's spend some time on your squad, your game Friday. What do you think of Georgia Tech? What do you think of the Buffs?
Well, the lines dropped from 7-5. And, I think playing at altitude for the first time, Georgia Tech, I think 5 is about right. I told Mark Johnson this morning that this is going to be the first time since he's called games at Colorado where both quarterbacks are runners. And, ours is going to be a runner. Haynes King for Georgia Tech is going to run. They do a lot of different things to you. You watch that game, take Georgia Tech to 7 overtimes. This is a very athletic team. They have a lot of transfers. We have a lot of transfers. Well, I think we're a lot less known because of our quarterback situation, our running back situation. So this is a pretty veteran team, not totally veteran, but pretty veteran team that's coming in. We're all going to wish it was about 20 degrees warmer so we could make them run around on that field east and west for the first quarter and get the altitude bothering them. But I think 5 points is about right. They know a lot more what to expect from their team than we do, just because our quarterback, who's probably going to be Caden Salter, although the young kid Julian Lewis has just progressed, just overnight. You see him get better, and by the end of the year, he's going to really, by mid-season, I think he's going to really push Caden Salter. But Salter's a veteran guy. He's very athletic, and so I think the majority of our running game is probably going to be him. And we see a lot of misdirection in Georgia Tech. They've got they really create a lot of eye candy for your linebackers and safeties, and so it's a good challenge. Good opening game. You can't. You're not playing a team that you're going to beat. You're playing a team that everybody thinks is going to beat you if you're Colorado. So you've had everybody's attention from day one. And we'll just see how it all works out. The same sort of thing applies to us as it does to Nebraska. We're a very similar team.
Gary Barnett with us. Coach, what would you hope to see in his second year from Dylan Raiola? He's talked about comfort. We heard from Dylan yesterday. He seems to have great control and chemistry with Dana and his coordinator, but also the work they've put in. So let's talk about translation onto the field for a second-year guy.
Well, I think the biggest, it's of course good for Dylan, but for Dana to have a total understanding of what this kid's about and what he does the best. And so you can game plan around that. And after spending almost a year with him, you got a pretty good feel. And there should be a great trust feature between those two guys that allows when a play comes in. I mean, Raiola knows that he's not going to, this play isn't going to get called unless it's something his coordinator totally believes he can do. So it's, that's the comfort factor, I think, that's more important than anything is between Dana Holgorsen and Dylan.
Coach, we'll hit some rapid fire and then get out. We are so grateful to you for your time with us here to talk Nebraska, Cincinnati. Rapid fire it is. I love the picks. We will start with Bama, Florida State. Roll Tide minus 13.5. That's a lot of points. Probably too many, but I think Bama wins. What do you think?
Oh, I like those points. I think that's about right.
Okay.
Florida State has not proven that they're, you just don't automatically go from being bad to being great and beating Alabama, in the time that they've had. So I'm going with Alabama in the points.
Okay. How about TCU? I think they're minus 2.5 at the Fighting Belichicks.
Yeah, we play TCU in the 6th game of the year, so I'm really interested in this. You know what? I'm gonna. Everybody's downplaying Belichick going to the college, and that guy's a genius. He is a stinking genius, and so maybe the most respected coach in the country of any sport. So. To me, he's the John Wooden of football. I'm going with North Carolina. I just think Belichick, his ability to get a team ready is really incredible. I've had players that played for him, and they rave about how he prepares a team. So I'm going to go with North Carolina.
You always got to be on your toes, man, with Belichick. He'll have these guys ready possibly, and should be something to see. Baylor, Auburn.
Yeah, they got Auburn by 2.5. It's at Baylor. I don't know if it makes any difference. We don't play Baylor, so I haven't looked at Baylor very much this year. And you think Auburn's got it all together. This is really a hard one for me. I'll go with Auburn, but only because of the spread.
LSU at Clemson, minus 3.5. This is going to be an awesome game.
Nobody wants to see that game more than the fans of college football, the old fans and the new fans, because LSU represents the new ones and Clemson represents the old ones, the old way of doing things. No transfers, Dabo fighting it all the way, kicking and scratching. They're ranked very high. I'm rooting for Dabo Sweeney here, so I don't know if he's going to win, but I'm going to call it for Clemson.
Notre Dame at Miami, minus 2.5. If not now, win for the U.
Yeah, I'm not a Carson Beck fan, so I'm going to go with Notre Dame on this game. And if they win this game, look out, because they're loaded.
Tennessee hosting Syracuse, minus 14.
We'll see. Everybody's going to watch that quarterback to see what they lost and what they got in return for him. But Fran Brown puts together a good team. He's a good coach. I'm going to go Tennessee just because it's really hard to play there.
Texas, Ohio State, Coach.
I'll tell you, I can't believe Texas is an underdog, but I'm going to go with Arch Manning. I'm going to go with Texas.
Okay. Utah, UCLA.
I'm really interested in this game. UCLA better be ready because Utah will just beat them up if they're not. I'm going to go with Utah.
Coach, before we say goodbye, Nebraska, Cincy, minus 6.5. Big Reds the line.
Yeah, I like the line. I think Nebraska by 8, so I'm going to go there.
Coach, enjoy your week and holiday weekend and have some fun with some football, okay?
Sounds great, Chris. Great being with you.
Good stuff with Hall of Fame coach Gary Barnett. His thoughts on the college football weekend as we are back at you here with the Average Joe Sports Show Tailgate Edition. We're going to attempt karaoke, the prediction style of karaoke.
Wait, remind me, what was your score again?
I said 31-28, Nebraska.
Okay, I'm at 31-21. So something right about that 31 score.
First team to 30 makes it happen. So we'll get the predictions rolling. Good stuff with Mark Spindler joining us. Catch the Average Joe Sports Show podcast. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and also can log on the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube channel 7 days a week. We're back tomorrow from the Oakwood Country Club. So we are going to kick off karaoke, prediction karaoke. Have a chair. Need your first name, and I need the Nebraska prediction.
My first name is Jared. You know Nebraska's winning 28-17.
28-17.
All right, 28-17.
Hey, who's your MVP?
My MVP of the game? It'll be Raiola. It'll be Raiola. He'll make some good throws on third. You know,
300 yards?
All right, tell your...
Yeah. It'll be right around 300, 290,
Okay.
right around there.
Okay.
All right, good prediction.
Thank you.
Next in line gets the prediction.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're doing more predictions.
You want to make your predictions? Step on in. What do you think happens tonight?
Step right up. All right, have a chair. Need your first name and give me a prediction.
Chuck's my first name. I listen to you guys all the time. You guys
Chuck,
are awesome.
thank you.
Yeah. My prediction is Huskers 38-13.
Wow.
Offensive line, defensive line's going to show up tonight.
Love that.
That's my prediction.
Chuck, be good. Go grab a beer.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. More of the predictions are coming in. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. First name, and I need a prediction.
Cam in 31-14 Huskers.
Okay, that's a win and a cover, says Cam. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Your first name, what's going on? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's Patrick, and real excited. 34-24 Huskers roll. Dylan has a big day. We're going to pick on their D-backs.
Is Dylan the MVP today?
Yes, absolutely. But we're going to see what kind of kicker we got.
I said 31-28.
All right, I think it's going to be close.
Good to see you.
All right, good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, thanks, Dylan.
All right. We have more prediction karaoke. It just might be a thing. What's your first name, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. My name's Tony.
Tony, what happens? Give me a score.
I got 35-17.
Nebraska?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would say, we haven't had a single Cincinnati prediction yet, but I also don't think I've seen a single Cincinnati fan still. So.
You know, I walked through the whole place. I saw five Cincinnati fans.
That's 5 more than I expected.
Yes, agreed.
Tony, good to meet you.
Appreciate your time.
All right. More of karaoke predictions here on the Average Joe Sports Show. Tailgate edition. We got a line forming. I love it.
Bill.
How are you? What's your first name?
Excellent. Bill, how are you doing?
Bill, thanks for joining us. What's the score?
32-17 Huskers.
32-17.
Yes, sir.
MVP is who?
Raiola.
All right. That's another vote for Dylan. Nice to see you.
Sorry for the pause, dude.
No, you're good.
Appreciate it.
Deep in thought. I love
Exactly.
it. More predictions here with the Average Joe Tailgate Show. And give me your first name.
Jim.
Jim, what happens, Mark?
I say 42-10.
42.
I'm going to go big and bold.
That's a big win right there.
42-10.
Jim, what kind of beer we drinking?
This is a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It's a good one.
Did you get a Fairbury brand hot dog or no?
No, I haven't got one yet, no.
They're just around the corner.
I'll check it out.
Jim, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. More predictions coming up here with the Average Joe
Mine's like
Sports
20
Show.
deep right now.
I know.
We're going for a bit here.
How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good. What's your first name?
Diane.
Diane, thanks for joining us. What is the score going to be? 40 to 15. Okay.
I'm feeling confident. It's
That's
early in the season.
Tell me about the MVP. Who's the best player today?
Travis Kelce.
Oh, no. Probably on Sunday, right?
There you go. No, just kidding. I've got Betty. Let's go with Raiola.
Okay. That's 3 for Dylan. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Look at the Snitley boys
All
up
right,
here.
the Snitley boys get in here. The Peace Treaty. The Peace Treaty is here from Boulder. Your first name, sir?
Brian.
Brian, did you get those from Schwarzenegger? Those are good glasses.
Nope. I think that was
The bouncer is back. I love it.
All right, so Nebraska's going to cover,
And the unders will hit 31-21 Nebraska. 31-21 Nebraska.
Will any peace deals need to be brokered tonight?
Remains to be seen. It's early yet.
Good to see you. Thank you. Good burn ends. All right, Mr. Jeff. You out?
I'm going to go. Thanks for everything. All right, I'll see you over there. All right.
I'm going to go 34-17 Big Red. Close early, but the running game covers or gets going. No turnovers. That's a big thing.
How many old fashions are you having after the show?
As long as it's a double, we get to 10-point cup, 10-point differential. I think we're looking at 2 to 3 at least, 2 to 3.
The over-under on Snitley's old-fashioned consumption is 2.5, and he just set the line.
Good number. Give me the over. Give me the over.
He just set the line. More karaoke predictions here on the Average Joe Sports Show. How you doing? What's your first name, bud?
Dave Brees.
Dave, thanks for coming on. What's the prediction?
Prediction 35-17 Huskers. But I got to give a shout out to our new punter, the Australian.
Do it.
Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi! That's got to be the new chant for a punter.
I like it. We came up with the Thunder from Down Under.
How do you feel about that? Do you think, before we let you go, do you think we see a punt with both feet tonight?
Why not?
Love that.
First game, why not? Go for it.
Let's see lefty and righty.
Yeah, do it.
Love that.
Put him inside the 5. Nice
That's
to see
right.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. More predictions coming up.
Oh, lock it in. Lock in the predictions.
All right. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. What's your first name? What do you say?
George Reese. I think the prediction's going to be 40-20 Nebraska.
40 to 20. 40 to 20. Who's winning MVP?
Let's go Emmett Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
EJ. Thank you. Good to see you. Okay. We got. I guess
he
I'll
just
go.
changed his mind. He wasn't listening
Give me
down.
your first name and the score.
Will, I'm giving my score 28-14 Nebraska.
Okay, 28-14. That's 2 touchdowns. That's a cover. That's probably the over.
It's under.
Still an under.
No, I think the over-under is 52.5.
Is it 52.5? All right. Good enough. Hey, have a good night. Thank
All right, yeah, you too.
Some more prediction karaoke. He got guilted into this. Awesome. What's your first name?
Anthony Reese.
Anthony, how we doing?
Doing pretty good.
So what happens tonight? Give me a score.
35-20.
35-20 Nebraska by 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Why do they get it handed?
What was that?
Why do they make it happen?
Defense shows up to play. That's it.
Nice to see you. Thanks. All right.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
We have more of the Archie Wilson fan club and probably a few more predictions happening here on the Average Joe Sports Show. We have more predictions. Possibly.
Maybe. He's trying to broker a treaty over there. Get her on the show here. Make a prediction.
It's a pretty good line of folks.
Just give a score. You don't have to give I said 34-17.
She thinks we're going to ask for a number. That was on TV. She's debating. She's wondering. She has retreated. All right.
Smitty, any final thoughts here that you'd like to get across in this game here tonight?
Well, yeah, I'm excited for our compadres, Dolman and Cranac, to get here. Dolman has said sure, so we might get Bill Dolman to pop on the show. Can we send him a link? Do we know how to do that?
Is he going to be on site or no?
I don't know. Uh-oh. The suit is going to give us a quick prediction. It's prediction karaoke. We need a score and an MVP. Rob, it's good to have you, partner. Thanks for being here.
I think
what happens?
I think we're going to see a high-scoring game tonight. I'm going to go 42-35 Huskers.
42-35?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some touchdowns tonight.
There are some bashful people over there about the score prediction.
Okay.
They're debating. We've already had about 35 predictions. Shockingly enough, it's all been Nebraska.
Yeah, well, hey, you never know what you can see on the first game like this, but without having the big red game or the spring game like we normally do and everything else like that. So it's just all what people see and try to piece together and stuff like that. But I'm excited, man. It's just great to have football back.
It is. We'll see you later on.
We'll see you. Oh yeah, post game. Oh yes.
Yeah,
oh,
Real
yes.
Red Reaction right here, powered by Slim Chickens. We have more predictions coming with the prediction karaoke. Thank you for coming by. What's your name?
Brock Burkholz.
Brock, thanks, dude. What's the score going to be?
34-7 Skurs.
34-7. Who shines tonight?
That's actually a tough one, but I think, you know what I think I'm going to say? It's going to be Ja'Cory Barney.
Okay.
Going to get started with the punt yards. It's going to be returner of the year.
Good. Like it. Nebraska, big time. Nice to meet you. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Come on in. How we doing? What's your name?
How you doing? My name's Francis Forte.
Francis, we gotta get you on camera here. All right, what's the score gonna be?
I'm thinking 31-14.
31-14?
For the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
And who's Nebraska's MVP?
I think we're going to see really great work from the O-line today. I think the whole O-line is going to do a really great job protecting, and they're going to give a lot of time for the run and the pass game to develop.
Francis, that works, and I think Dana Holgerson's nodding. That would be great.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. All right, good stuff from Francis. We have another prediction. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What's your name?
It's Kelly.
Kelly, what are we drinking?
I think it's Makers and some kind of mixture.
Squirt?
I think so.
So what do you think? It's pretty tasty, isn't it?
It's delicious.
Have you had any hot dogs or any food?
I have had some pork fried beans and they were amazing.
They are very, very good.
Yes.
So I will quit bothering you about food takes. But I was just wondering what you're drinking and what you're eating. So give me a score prediction. What happens? And who's the MVP tonight?
I'm going to say Huskers to win. 52-11. And MVP, it's a tough one. I don't know.
Raiola?
Possibly. Yep.
Hey, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by the show. All right. We have more of karaoke tailgate. It's probably better to say tailgate karaoke. The Pride of Fairbury is en route, and he's in the stream. We say hi to Bill Dolman. Bill, how we doing? What mile marker are you at? Have you stopped by the dispensary drive-thru? Thank you for the time.
No, here's the deal. You all know that I hate traffic as much as decaf coffee and ketchup, right?
Yes.
So I've heard all about the traffic horror stories today. I had to educate the youth of America. I do have two of my students calling the game tonight on 90.3 KRNU and KRNU2 and Just Ice Roading, and Brady Alderson, who will be in the booth tonight. So I'm going down with my boys, although they are already there. But I had to teach, so I got a late start. I heard all about the traffic, so I took off towards Salina, and I'm heading down toward Tulsa, and I'm going to drive back up and come through the south side, because that's how much I hate traffic.
As it stands right now, what is your estimated time of arrival?
I might make kickoff.
All right, that's impressive.
Yep, it's game time is on time, boys. That's what we always say on the Average Joe Sports Show, and we make what game time is. So, I've avoided traffic at all possible costs. I have been driving all through the state of Kansas on the east side. It's about the only good thing it's for. So I've been listening. Love hearing Mark Spindler, who seems to me to be a long-lost Peter brother. But I thought he was fantastic. But a lot of great stuff. Love hearing from everybody, and just really enjoy the energy of the start of college football season. And college football season really gets underway when Nebraska starts, and college football is better when Nebraska's expectations and its performance come together, and it's not just blind hope. So I think this is the start of a really good season for Nebraska.
Bill, as you make the drive, what are the things that are stuck in your craw? What are those things that are worrying you as you have that road time as you make your way down here?
Well, I've been like a lot of people talking about the defensive line. I know there's 40 guys in the secondary, and they'll find 5 guys that can play there. I think you have aggressive linebackers that know how to stick and hit and get to the ball quick. But look, I think that this this, John Butler has not coordinated the defense in a long time, but unless he's entirely inept, I can't believe that Nebraska is going to drop off defensively. I don't think Matt Rule would have hired him and given him that position if he hadn't been acclimated to the players who were on the team last year. Again, he wasn't hired in the dark after last season. He was a part of the program, much like Dana Holgerson was part of the program for the last 25% of the season. So Nebraska, in hiring its coordinators, got a head start on everybody else. So I don't think John Butler's inept, okay? But I don't think that he's going to be running, well, thank you for Tony White's playbook. I'm just going to do this then. I think he's got his own ideas. And, when teams get together in fall camp, they always say the defense is ahead of the offense. I would imagine that that's going to apply tonight, that John Butler's defense is going to be ahead of Cincinnati's offense because they really don't know what to expect. Are they going to go back to a Penn State one-season playbook when he was the defensive coordinator 10 years ago? Different players, different era of college football. So I think Cincinnati is going to be playing catch-up to whatever John Butler's schemes are. And I think that gives Nebraska's defense a bit of an edge.
Ryan Fairbury is with us. It's Bill Dolman. The North Texans for Nebraska are
rocking out.
They're playing Ozzy Osbourne about level 17, which God rest Ozzy's soul. Good for them. Good stuff.
Did you say they're playing Ozzy Osbourne or Tom Osborne?
No, they're playing Ozzy, but will we see Air Ozzy tonight? What's Nebraska's game plan offensively?
I think you're probably going to see a 60-40 split run pass. I think they want to see what Emmett Johnson could do as a one, but I think they also want to let that offensive line establish an identity. It's important that offensive line. Right? Nebraska's got confidence in its offensive line. It has 5 starters. It has depth. And those guys want to establish the fact that they're out there to move the football and not just protect Dylan Raiola and let him move the football. So I think you're going to see a ground game where, Nebraska might get 70 snaps, and I wouldn't doubt if they run the ball 30 times in the game. That may not be equal to 60-40 split. But I really think that they want to give the offensive line a chance to establish its identity. Our boy Rocco Spindler, I feel like we're all uncles to him. I think that he's going to be a real leader on that offensive line in terms of attitude and edge and power up the middle. And I think that's going to be critical for Nebraska. I don't think they're going to put it all on Dylan Raiola's shoulders. I don't think they're going to try to win him the Heisman Trophy tonight. I think that this is going to be a game where they're going to let the line kind of dictate what happens, especially early. The other thing that does worry me, and I know I said Nebraska's defense, they cannot allow Cincinnati to have the ball and go on a 7-minute drive in the first quarter. That's going to suck all the energy out of that Husker crowd. And if they do that, that crowd's got to try and get ramped back up again. And sometimes that's kind of hard. If Nebraska gets the ball first and scores first, those folks are going to be at level 11 or 12 for the rest of the night.
Bill Dolman with us here on the Average Joe Tailgate Show as we're here in the Arrowhead parking lot. We have done prediction karaoke. There's Cranac. I'll be damned. Ha! That's funny. Bill, the whole gang is here. It's pretty
I'm
good.
trying to get there.
I know. It's been good trying to find more ways to get people involved. And I think Nebraska, I think it's going to be that offensive line that sets the tone. And I think it's going to be an opportunistic defense for Nebraska's ability to get some turnovers. And I think that could be the difference. I think it's going to be a situation where Nebraska will play some complimentary football, Bill, for the first time probably since they played a Northwestern team.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think special teams are going to be an area where people are really focused on. But do special teams play a part in how Nebraska wins the football game? Because Archie punted the ball well to change the field and change field position. Does Ja'Cory Barney return some kicks and not fair catch the ball at the 10-yard line? Does he add 10 to 15 yards per return? May not flip the field with a return, but start you off better as opposed to starting at the 10-yard line. You start at the 25. That's a big difference. Or get it from the 20 to the 35. That's a big difference. It opens things up a little bit more. So I look for special teams, whether or not they put points on the board in the kicking game. Yeah, that would be great. But can they win the field position battle in the kicking game? I think that'll be key. I would love for Nebraska to not play the turnover game, where they say, well, Nebraska won the turnover game. How about not playing the turnover game and just taking two away and don't even give them an opportunity to fall on and loose football and pick off a pass? So if Nebraska wins the turnover game, and look, we heard way too much in the last couple of weeks about pre-snap penalties. No first and 15s. Stay away from first and 15. 20 versus. But first and 20 means that the play was on and you held, okay, you got it. But if you're not mentally in the game and you are pre-snap moving, first and 15 is a death trap. It's a drive killer. It's a buzz killer. Stay away from that.
Bill Dolman with us here. And Bill, we've spent a lot of time here talking about things you'd like to see. Based on what we've heard through the summer and through the fall period, what are you confident that we will see tonight?
Say again?
What are you confident that we will see tonight on the field?
What we'll see tonight from Nebraska?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you're going to see a confident quarterback that plays with some maturity. I think that's critical. I've said it many, many, many times, and I know it's the clip of the week for the Average Joe Sports Show. He's got to play like a junior. He's got to play like a third-year player. He's a highly talented quarterback with football in his pedigree. You can't play like it's all on him and play like that he feels the pressure that the game is on him. He's got to play with the maturity. That's what I want to see from Dylan Raiola. He does not have to have 375 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air. Let that happen if it comes to it. But play the ball, play efficiently, play control, play aggressively if you have to, and make smart runs. That's what I want to see out of Dylan Raiola, and then let the offense respond to him. They named him a captain for a reason. So I want to see that. I don't want to see linebackers out just making plays because they're free to do it, because that D-line has occupied 5 offensive linemen. I want to see Shavers. I want to see Jason McCullough. I want to see Williams Winery. I want to see guys flying around the football and making plays aggressively, defensively, because I think that's what John Butler wants to do.
Bill will snag your partner for whatever you're available for Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. We'll go into the wee hours of the night, talk about the reaction here. What's Nebraska do and what do we think against Cincinnati? Safe travels, bud, the rest of the way down, and we got a spot here in the Arrowhead lot for you to hang out when you're done with the students, all right?
All right, I'll be there again, 90.3 KRNU for Justice Brody, Brady Alderson, 2 proud UNL students going to call the game tonight. And join us afterward. We'll have a lot of fun and celebrate what I think is going to be a Nebraska win and a great start to the season.
That sounds good. Billy D, be good. Safe travels, partner. We'll talk in a moment, all right?
All right, 90.3, and that's going to be the score.
Bill Dolman, Pride of Fairbury, the professor, joining us here on the Average Joe Sports Show. So there was a Cranac site.
Should I go corral him?
Yeah, go get Cranac. We have just got everybody. And big thanks again to Mark Spindler for joining us. And be sure to catch us all season long, 7 days a week on the Average Joe Sports Show. We've got so many folks to thank. We're not young, but from Walter being in first all the way back at 124. Walter was asking, will the post game be live when I leave for work tomorrow morning? I don't know. Maybe. Andrew, good to have you. Arlo, Patrick, Uncle Jimmy, Tuck, A-Dub, Jeff Snitley, of course, from the RV, Casey Cash, Anonymous says the first play is going to be to Dane Key. Uncle Larry is here. Big Red Rules, Black Hills Brennan, Nolan, Duck, the other Rocco, Chris. Kobe says the 308 beers are flowing. Kobe, good for you, dude. Ed Foley says touchdown Nebraska. Our ringer is in. Game Dog, love it, brother, says EJ over 76.5 yards. We didn't quite get to the props, did we?
Can I pull them up?
We could. We welcome in Mark Cranac.
Hey.
How are you? So here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
You're gonna hear there.
Okay.
And we're gonna talk.
Share that?
Yes.
All right, so you're interviewing me finally. I've been waiting for the Chris Schmidt interview my whole life, and I finally get it. How are you, man?
I'm good. We're working on 3 hours, brother.
We were 5.5 hours on the road.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your trek down here.
Well, we left at 12:30 from Omaha, which you would think, I mean, Kansas City, 3.5 hour drive, that would allow you to beat rush hour traffic, right? That was the idea. You'd be able to beat rush hour traffic and get to the stadium right when the gates open. No. I have not seen a pilgrimage like that, and keep in mind, I drive from Omaha to Lincoln every Saturday, right? Like pretty much every Saturday during football season. I don't know if I've seen something quite like this, right? It's an entirely different city. You're crossing multiple state lines, and it is just rush hour the entire time. You know, and so we plug in Waze instead of, you know, Google Maps. We were trying back and forth, which one will get us there the fastest. I don't think we were on 29 South for more than 30-40% of the trip. It was telling us to exit, take this highway, take that highway, crisscross 29, get back on 29, get off 29, just because of the volume that was coming from the Omaha Metro and Lincoln, I'm sure, once it gets further south, right? So it was pretty incredible, and I think we're in for an environment that I'm not sure we're ever going to get again. Like, not just because it's Arrowhead.
Could be an exhale.
Maybe. Hopefully, right? That's the hope. Because if you imagine, when is another time that Nebraska is going to go to a quote-unquote road game at a neutral site where they are 95% of the stadium? It's just not going to happen. I've been covering and following Nebraska football for so long. There's no equivalent to this. Nebraska's played here before, right? Big 12 championship game, but that's divided. That's how it's divided, right? That's two very good teams, two traveling fan bases. They also played Kansas here, late 90s. June Henley, folks that were around then might remember that name, June Henley. Nebraska had to claw back and barely escape with a win here. But that's Kansas, right? Lawrence, just down the street, it was a mixed crowd. Here, I literally have not seen a single human being in a Cincinnati shirt, hat, anything. It is just Arrowhead Stadium filled by Nebraskans. I don't think you're ever going to see something like this again, and it's going to be interesting to see how Nebraska fans react organically. The band isn't here. It's not your PA. It's none of that. No, it's not your commercials. None of your traditions are built in here. It's a Cincinnati home game. Yet it's an all Nebraska crowd. I can't think of any sport, any situation that has that set of circumstances all converging here tonight. It's a truly unique day, and it's opening the frickin' college football season.
Mark, whenever you talk about that set of circumstances, I'm 0 for 11. I have never seen with my own two eyes Nebraska win a game away from Memorial Stadium.
Oh my goodness.
If tonight is not the night, you have to ask the question, have I ever seen one? I mean, like, I know I like going to the premier games in the road. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that are in Nebraska's favor. We're talking about the fan base, but so many things that make you go, it has to be Nebraska today, right?
I hear your despair in some ways. Like you're like, tell me it's gonna be okay, because I've been through this crap enough, and I hear you. If it doesn't happen tonight, it'll be nothing short of soul crushing.
What were you asking?
For a fan base that maybe thinks we've been soul crushed before, I don't know if anything would top this.
Yes.
Like I don't know if exiting a stadium away from your actual home base with nothing but your fans streaming out. Everybody took time off of work. People took there's a lot of kids here. A lot of kids got out of school. My son's one of them. I picked him up at noon. I'm like, let's go.
What's the economy of Nebraska going to be tomorrow? There's 70,000 people that are going to be at work tomorrow.
It's, I mean, it sort of can't happen, right? You don't say that to try to like necessarily like put pressure on Rule or anything like that. That's not kind of where I'm coming at it from. I'm not saying that to be like, oh, it's a must-win game and fire Rule if not. I'm not coming at it from that standpoint. I just mean it's a beaten down fan base. This is a proud fan base that has gotten punched in the nose year after year after year after year after year. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you can't invest all of this time and energy and money and go through these this amount of coaches to have it not work out eventually, right? I think that's where Nebraska's at tonight. It's going to happen starting now, right?
It's got to happen eventually.
Yeah.
And Mark, we've done prediction karaoke. It's prediction karaoke time for you. Who wins? Why? And I need an MVP.
Oh my God. All right. Well, on our show we predicted wins, so I counted this as a W. Did I? I think
yes,
I did.
You did.
I'm pretty sure I did. I think it was Michigan that I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nebraska scares the hell out of me on big stages, but
you had about 70,000 of your friends here.
I know, but no, I can see it maybe being a bit of a struggle early, not because Nebraska's not because they're struggling necessarily, but I think just sheer anticipation of week one. I could see things like Raiola overthrowing guys, maybe some excessive effort penalties, right? Those kinds of things sort of slowing Nebraska down. Plus the fact that you have a really good nose guard, so you're going to have to try to figure out how do you neutralize him and move the ball. So I can see it being slow early. I think Nebraska ends up wearing them down because of depth, right? I think an off season of Holgerson and Raiola working together, plus the acquisitions, Nebraska should be in the low 30s. I could see Cincinnati leaking into the low 20s because they have a veteran offense and Nebraska has a rookie defensive line. So I give it Nebraska 31 and I'll go 20 for Cincinnati. And I think
And we're back.
Did we ever even leave, though?
I don't know. Cranac, another season of football together. This is awesome.
Let's go.
Tanner going to check out his first ball game. I just scoot in here. Hold on, you hold the mic.
Gotcha. Well, I'm here to hold the mic, apparently, as Chris, the director of videography, gets us set up. There we go. We're in widescreen. All right.
Lots of Nebraska fans. You painted that picture beautifully of the reality. This state travels, it always has, but it's traveling because they are back on the wagon of belief. And they think that this team can be good. They love this coach. They like this team's offensive line. They want Dylan to be the guy. There's a proud papa and Mark Spindler that thinks this offensive line can be a difference. And what I'm interested, though, is where's the defensive line? I know they're going to be better as the year goes on. That's what their job is to be. But how good are they tonight?
Well, it's a fair question because you do have some veteran guys on that line, but you don't have a lot of snaps on that line. I think that's maybe the difference is that Elijah Judy, like, has he been around a while? Is he a veteran guy? Of course he is. Has he had a ton of production? Nope, he hasn't. How about Riley Van Poppel? Yeah, he had a cup of coffee a couple years ago, redshirted. He showed promise. He doesn't have a ton of production. Keona Davis doesn't have a ton of production. Williams Waneri doesn't have a ton of production. Right? The only guy that does is Jalen George out of East Tennessee State. Does that translate? Who knows? So I wouldn't expect a lot from the defensive line tonight. But are those good body types? Yeah. Are those guys probably in shape? Yeah. So I think they could get good. Don't know if you're going to necessarily see that tonight. And if you do, well, hell yeah. They're ahead of schedule. Because I don't think you should expect that it would be a dominant defensive line against a competent Cincinnati offense.
Cranac, we're going to wind it down. Elijah, good luck. God bless. This was fun.
Yeah, it's getting raucous around here. People are starting to pack up. We got, I don't know what this song is. We've got Red Solo Cup rocking though.
Well, there he is. How are you, bud? Good to see you. Hi, Liliana. Good to see you.
When Carson Schmidt is made, we need Carson's prediction
Carson
for
Schmidt
now.
and Liliana.
Nice to meet
What's up, man? We got to get a prediction. All right, pop out real quick.
Oh yeah, how about? Sorry.
No, hang on just a few seconds. All right, last thought, Junior.
Hey, you're wrapping up the show, no pressure.
Yeah, you are. We've had a lot of folks do the
definitive score prediction.
Karaoke prediction.
Okay.
So what happens?
31-17 Skurs.
All right, 31-17. How was the drive?
Not bad for me. I went to Lawrence first, so.
You might be the only person around here that had a not bad drive today.
It was the move to go through Lawrence.
Okay.
All right, Liliana, sit down. We need a prediction from Liliana. She's got her white ass kicker boots on. I like it. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. How's school?
Pretty good, I'm loving it. A lot better than high school, so, yeah.
What happens tonight?
I'm calling it 17-21 Huskers.
21-17.
You scared me with the backward score, but you're predicting Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska always.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Carson's fake ID is apparently working. All right. We'll say see you later and talk to you after the game. Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter with the Average Joe Sports Show. Thank you much. Have a great night.